jetting in and out. So shout out to you real quick before you get ready to go. Shout out to Black Idaho, Marcus. Marcus, I saw you earlier today talk about the actual space and whatnot, and yeah, this should be pretty interesting tonight. As more of our people get ready to come up into space. Shout out to everybody that's coming in on YouTube. I know right now nobody's coming in over there quite yet, but when you guys do come in, make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the actual channel, like the actual page, leave a comment, share everything else. Squirrel, what's going on? You always one of the first ones up in here as well too. So yeah, we're gonna be discussing this tonight, man. Once again, I mean, I did see a church earlier. I did see a you had damn, and I tweeted the damn thing out, and I forgot the actual article. But you had, I believe it was a church talk about giving $17 million to Black people because of reparations as well too. So what's up with FBA Goddess and Stephanie? What's up with you guys tonight? So you're starting to have some of the people, a few, not a whole lot. Let me just make that clear. You're starting to have a few of these churches sitting up here talking about possible reparations. You still got a whole lot that don't want to hear it. And boy, right here tonight, he went ahead and he butted himself into something. He started using biblical nonsense to sit up here and try to justify, let's just pretty much live and let live type philosophy. So we want to touch up on that. I see DJ's up in the spot. I don't know if he's actually in the actual spot, but I'm gonna send him the co-host as well too. So I definitely look forward to hearing what everybody's got to say tonight on this right here. This is going to be pretty interesting, and I definitely and I know FBA Goddess is pretty outspoken. I know Stephanie, she's pretty outspoken as well too. So I definitely look forward to hearing what y'all got to say. DJ, what's going on, man? How's the audio? Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, everything good. Newstoter was good. Everybody, how you doing tonight?
Good, 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 man. Like I was telling everybody, just giving them kind of a little warmer fill up because I don't want to. They in this article they put a lot of the actual verses and everything. I'm not going to touch up on all of that, but I see we got a Scipio up in here as well too, and I know Scipio's a Israelite, so I definitely look forward to hearing what he's got to say because I know he's probably not too happy about this. Actual, my man Carlos at the bottom of the screen. Scipio, what's going on with you tonight?
What's up there, Newstoter? How you doing, brother?
Oh,
How's everybody on the panel? Or it just in the space, whether you're FBA or an outsider. As long as you come with peace, I'm good with you.
yes, sir. And I know this is going to be an article. This topic that we're going to touch on because you have a you have somebody from the U.S. Holocaust Museum Memorial Council decided to go ahead and chime in and give his opinion on what Black people should do in terms of, and he tried to use a biblical reference to say what Black people should do in terms of combining reparations and slavery and how we should do this and do that or whatever. So I know what you've been a Hebrew Israelite. I know you're definitely going to have a different point of view from what this gentleman said as well too. So I look forward to definitely hearing that. And let me go ahead and get to this thing and get it started real quick, guys. This article was from the one of my curation partners, Neo Jim Crow. Definitely check that website out. It's titled "The Wall Street Journal Calls on Blacks to Embrace Passover's Approach to Dealing with Slavery." It was a it was an article that this guy came on there. Gerald, he's not a normal on there, from my understanding, but he came in there and he wrote his article, so he gave his opinion. Jared Lavelle, a top attorney who serves as a pro bono general counsel to the United States Holocaust Memorial Council, on Thursday published an op in the Wall Street Journal titled "What the Bible Says About Reparations for Slavery." I'll skip the part where he gravely misunderstands Exodus 34:7, which says God is extending kindness to the thousandth generation, forgiving iniquity, transgression, and sin, yet not remitting all punishment, but visiting the iniquity of parents upon children and children's children upon the third and fourth generations. Lavelle tries to relate the above passage to the idea of statute of limitation and by extension solve the problem he presents in the opening that the case of paying reparations to descendants of slaves has been gaining momentum nationwide. Rashi explains that the meaning of somewhat convoluted text saying, yet not remitting all punishment means he does not forgive the sin completely, but he makes them pay little by little, and those who repent are not punished, while those who do not would not be absolved. And as to visiting the iniquity of parents upon children and children's children. Rashid says, when they hold on to the deed of their ancestors, it's not about a statute of limitation on crimes, it's about repenting and letting go of them. Levi makes a cognitive point in the final two paragraphs. Jewish tradition offers a way to do so. Every spring, Jews celebrate Passover, the holiday that commemorates the Jewish people's liberation from slavery in Egypt. Passover emphasizes not vengeance or retribution, but important teachings, gratitude of God for freeing the Jews and for the blessings of freedom, together with the divinely inspired injunction never to treat others as the Jews were treated. In our commemoration, we also remember the death and the destruction of the Egyptians, not as an act of triumph, but rather out of compassion for the suffering of fellow human beings. This tradition is a template for addressing the consequences of slavery in America. The best and most equitable reparations lie not in cash payments, but in remembering and teaching the lessons of slavery, of its terrible consequences, and of the suffering of those who endured it. Such an approach is fundamentally just, constructive, and unlimited by time. Quite interesting that he's able to tell exactly what needs to be done, but not surprising. Not surprising. Interesting, an admired juror such as Jared Lavelle chooses to completely ignore General Sherman's Special Field Order Number 15 Series 1865, which is a foundation for the offspring of African slaves, demands for reparation. Sherman's order provided the confiscation of 400,000 acres of land along the Atlantic coast of South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, and dividing them into parcels of not more than 40 acres on which they were to be settled approximately 18,000 formerly enslaved families and other black people living in the area. No mules are mentioned in the orders, but they were popularly described as a promise for 40 acres and a mule to free slaves. I take issues with Lavelle because he also chooses to ignore the clear mention of Egyptian reparations to the freed slaves. The Israelites had done Moses' bidding and borrowed from the Egyptians objects of silver and gold and clothing, and God had disposed the Egyptians favorably towards the people, and they let them have their request. Thus they stripped the Egyptians of their wealth. Exodus 12:35 to 36. We, with God help, took the Egyptians for all they had in return for our 210 years of slavery, and we repeat the story every Passover because it's nice to remember. As Lavelle suggests, cash is good too. Now, see my girl Stephanie coming up here, and I got you, Sippy. No worry about that. I got you as well too. Shout out to everybody coming into space, y'all. Make sure y'all go ahead and tweet the space out. I'm not gonna read too much more, but you guys pretty much get the understanding of what we got. We got a man that works along with the actual. He works with the actual. He works. Actually, he's pro bono lawyer, counsel to the United States Holocaust Memorial Council. He decided with the actual uptick of the support that you see with reparations, he decided, hey, I'll come up in here and I'll start, start blocking a little bit as well too. So let me go ahead and get it to Sippy, then I'm gonna get to you, Stephanie. How's everybody doing? Make sure y'all retweet the space out as well too.
Hey, Newstoter, with that you read, what got my attention, maybe put my hands up, brother, is in that article you read, the gentleman that said that cash payments should not be a form of reparations, but all this other symbolic garbage. What was that guy's nationality or ethnicity, if you don't mind me asking?
It did not say. His name is Jared Lavelle, Leval. It does not say, but he does. He's a pro bono general counsel to the United States Holocaust Memorial Council. So it doesn't say what he is, but he does work at the Holocaust Memorial Council.
Oh, okay. Until I find out more, I'll keep my comments about him, and I'll just go ahead and let someone else speak for now.
I will, but feel free though. I mean, because even what I just read kind of it debunks what he was saying right there as well too. Because hey, based on the biblical the biblical Jews in the Bible, the Hebrews, when everything went down with Egypt, they still got the gold and silver and stuff, is what it's saying. So the fact of the matter that this dude wants to sit up here and he wants to go ahead and deny that black people should get anything in return, it's like it pretty much should be always just water under the bridge, and you guys need to go ahead. Man, you're misquoting what the actual Bible says in itself. So you're sitting up here telling a lie about that.
Well, see, what I was going to say, Newstoter, is like you said, I'm a Hebrew Israelite, so I know our history. And like you said, you have to have the Old Testament and the New Testament gives witness to the Old Testament. I'm not going to hold church in here. I'm going to kind of compact it as much as I can just to give a quick summary. But in the very beginning of the Bible, Genesis chapter 15, when it says that Abram falls into a deep slumber and he has a horrible vision, and the Most High tells him that his seed will go into a land that they know not and be afflicted for 400 years, which after the affliction, well, not after the affliction, but after the 400 years, the land will be judged. And then after that, the people will walk out of the land with great substance. And they want to conflate that to Egypt. But when you say a land that you don't know or that your generations don't know, he's already right there in Goshen. The Egyptian or the Mizraim's captivity took place right there in Goshen. So for all these people who say that already happened, that quickly debunks them. And then if you look at the generations between Moses' grandfather from the time he was born until the time they walked out of Egypt, that's just over 300 years. So again, those scoffers and gainsayers that say that we're not getting reparations, we're not the people, that's already happened, that's been debunked. And then for those New Testament Christians, especially the Gentiles, you know what I'm saying, the Mayo persuasion would say, well, Jesus came in and did away with all of this, like Jesus is greater than the Father, when Jesus himself says that he does as the Father does, and he says as the Father says. But beyond that, they'll stick on this Jesus thing and say, and we're all the same under Jesus, so there's no this and there's no that. Okay, well, if that's true, if we're all the same under Jesus, go and read James chapter 5, which is in the New Testament, and give us our stuff back. I land there.
All right. Thank you, Sippy. Let me go ahead and get to Stephanie. Stephanie, how you doing? I know you was up here for a second and I saw you disappear. What's going on, Stephanie?
Hello, salute to you, salute to the entire chat room. I just want to say thank you for having this much needed space. What happened was I couldn't hear any of the speakers, so I had to log out. I logged back in, and then it did the same thing. So I had to turn the phone off in order for me to get a response. First off, I responded to that article. I responded to the New York Times and the gentleman that wrote the article. Their excuse is they don't want to pay reparations, okay? And what they don't want to admit.
Oh, they make that very clear in the article, but go ahead.
And it is in the Bible that they are going to pay reparations. It is in the Bible. I read that verse and everything. I just can't remember the chapter and verse. I can't even remember the book right now because someone posted it. Now, their problem is they just have this sort of convenient amnesia when it comes to Black folks. They get so much money and reparations every year that goes to Israel, okay? Let's not forget that part, okay? Who's stopping them from getting, okay? They're going to be getting reparations until the year 2008, okay? But when it comes to us, we're not supposed to get nothing. We're supposed to forgive and we're supposed to forget. But when the Holocaust Remembrance Cup rolls around, you're not supposed to forget that. You're never supposed to forget that. Okay, the argument is one-sided. The article also contradicts itself because it also stated that if we're going to pay them anything, they should be paid with education equality. Education equality and there's something, I forgot. So that's what they want. They want us to just not ask for any money, just be grateful for what we get and just keep going forward. Okay, I don't know who's worse. It's between them and the Asian community because when it comes to them, they just want us to keep spending our money, spending money, but yet at the same time, they don't want to give us anything. And these are the first two communities to attack us and say we're the face of attacking them. I don't understand it. But whether we like it or not, we can push for them to not get reparations anymore either, because that's taxing on our pockets. I mean, we could either go that way too, you know. But I did let them know that I was not happy about their article. And that's the first of many articles that I've read coming from that specific community that says the same thing about, well, it was a long time ago. We can't trace anything back. It's going to be difficult. I mean, all these roadblocks. So just imagine if they was to pass reparations in all 50 states, right? and it goes before Congress, they're going to be there to try to block it. They're going to be the main ones. Them and the other couple of communities is going to merge together and block us from trying to get it. So the only thing we can do is just keep fighting back and just calling this nonsense out. That's all I have to say for right now. Thank you.
Stephanie, real quick, because and Seppi, he was trying to find out too as well, and I'm not sure because I was looking online to find out the actual guy's actual nationality, what his ethnic group was. I couldn't tell by his last name, but do you know exactly? Because I looked for Jared Lavelle, and I could not determine exactly what group or what nationality, ethnic group he actually belonged to. Do you have any do you know for certain? I mean, because we know he works with the actual the United States Holocaust Memorial Council, but do you know exactly what he is?
He's from that community. I researched him the moment that I read that one. I researched him. And I said, yep, there they go. Because he's also a lawyer. He's a lawyer. I forgot.
Yeah, I know he's a lawyer. Yeah, he's connected. He's connected.
He's well connected. So they're going to be trying from all sides to try. But he's definitely of that faith. I just don't know whether he's Hungarian or Polish or whatever, or straight from Israel. I don't know. But they're trying to cover their bases, and they're going to do everything they can to try to stop the reparations movement. And we got to do everything in our power to prevent them from doing that.
Thank you, because we was trying to figure out. So Seppi, from what Stephanie said, that she actually she was able to confirm that he is from a certain group. So I was looking, I couldn't find anything concrete. I was trying to figure out, when I saw the actual the organization that they said he's a pro bono general counsel. So I knew, being with the actual organization, it was a good chance that he had some kind of actual real, closeness, camaraderie with him. But thank you, Stephanie, for just pointing that out. So that, and like Nightfall saying, they got a lot of nerve. You telling black people what you entitled to get and what you're not entitled to get, but nobody could tell your community that. Heaven forbid that this article would have came out and this would have been about a certain group that's a protected class in this country that's probably 3-4% of the population, maybe 5%, and somebody says something like this about them, you would be canceled that same very day. But you can come out here and you can use people like the Wall Street Journal to go ahead and pump it. The Wall Street Journal will say, well, that's not one of our authors that actually published that. It was an OAuth. So, that we really, he came in. And so that's their way of protecting themselves and covering themselves as well, too, from any damage that's going to kick back. But not only is this thing starting to become big, where you're starting to have a lot of people. And like I say, with the actual the Christian community, the church community, starting to kind of say, hey, what's up with y'all and some of these reparations as well too. One group that is so quiet that you don't hear anything from them. We've heard people address countries and nations. We hear people talk about the U.S. We hear people talk about Britain and France. One organization, one group that's really quiet, that has the actual wealth of a country. And that's the Vatican. That's the Roman Catholic Church. You don't hear anything coming out of their mouth when it comes to this right here. They quiet as kept. They're not saying anything whatsoever. And as much as the Pope that's supposed to be around now is so outgoing and so everybody and this and that and all about the underdog and helping people and stuff like that talks about, hey, it doesn't matter what your sex is and this and that or whatever. The Pope says all this kind of stuff. The Pope hadn't said a damn thing about this. And I know I think he's been ill lately. But the Pope hadn't said one thing since this has started gaining national, international steam. I haven't heard the Pope say one thing to address this whatsoever. So, well, let's be for real. We were the ones that went ahead and gave the go ahead to go ahead and do a lot of this stuff. We helped fund it and everything else. And we were a big participant. It couldn't have got done without us going ahead and okaying it with the Portuguese and everybody else. So very interesting. Sippy, go ahead and unmute your mic. And everybody that's up in the space, guys, make sure you go ahead and share this space out tonight. We want to get our people up in here. If you're into the Bible and you feel like this has been offensive of what was said about this, the actual way that they're trying to once again use the Bible to try to deny black people, feel free to come up here and speak as well too. Go ahead, Sippy.
Yeah, I was just going to say, speaking of the Pope, and I tried to share it on X or Twitter, whatever we call this app now, from TikTok, and it showed a picture of the Pope and his minions, the cardinals and everyone, at this cathedral, looking at the actual pictures that Putin had brought out, and he started displaying throughout Europe, especially Mediterranean Europe. And when it showed a picture of, the black Mary holding, the Messiah as a baby, and you should have seen the look on his face. If the Pope would have had a gun in his hand or a dagger on him, he would have ended himself right there. You should have just seen the look on his face. It was priceless. I think I still have that video dug somewhere, but TikTok's been like knocking it down, and other people's been bringing it back up. And as far as those, and I want to be careful when I talk about those people. You know what I'm talking about, Newstoter.
Yeah, we know. We know. You right. We know who you're talking about, though.
Those people are as fake as a $4 bill, as a $3 bill. They know who they are not, and they know who we are. And the only thing is, a lot of us need to wake up to who we are, even though it's not happening. At least, I'm being selfish. What our awakening is for those who aren't waking up to being Israel, we're waking up to a code. And I would take that all day long, because the global codification is powerful.
All right, appreciate that, brother. Let me read a couple articles from my man Nightfall off of not articles. What am I talking about? A couple posts off of YouTube. Shout out, because I see my girl Trouble up in here as well too. So what's up, Trouble? But Nightfall said, is this dude going to demand that Israel give back the $38 billion that Obama gave them in 2016? $38 billion. I know they give them billions a year, but $38 billion in 1 year, cuz? Yikes. He also said, why does this dude even have the audacity to speak on our reparation claims when his people were beneficiaries and perpetrators of slavery? Good question. Good question, guys. Like I said, tonight we're trying to get people to come on up here and discuss this. I saw this. I tweeted it out. I wanted to have an actual space on this. And I was like, yeah, we need to go ahead and touch up on this as well, too. I saw the affiliation. I saw once again. And for hundreds of years, people have taken the Bible and twisted it and put it in their own words. Either you curse or you this or that. You're meant to be a servant. All kind of stuff. Even in modern time now, this dude done sit up here and totally taking words out of the Bible and twisted it for his own, because he's so afraid that he's going to have to dig in his pocket. So he's taken words and totally lied and said this and said that, and it said nothing about that whatsoever. Basically, in the nicest way, he's saying that, hey, shut up about slavery, and reparations. Be happy that it's over with. That's what he's really saying. That's what he's really saying in a nice, calm way. And like I say, that's the great part of having the actual a gigantic, multi-million dollar media machine behind you, because you got the Wall Street Journal. Stephanie, you said something about the New York Times. The New York Post also has something about these type of articles as well too. So he's got major backing. Now let's see the actual Holocaust. I don't see the actual Jewish Holocaust Memorial Council, criticizing him. I don't see them suspending him. I don't see him coming out offering an apology. I don't see anything whatsoever. So you got to understand and feel like how many of them actually feel the same way in that organization as he does, because it has to be a bunch of, for him to come out there and say that, and nothing is, no type of punishment, no type of anything has been done to him. A bunch of them got to feel that exact same way also. A bunch of them also got to feel that, hey, you know what? We can say whatever we want to say and not get treated a certain way, but nobody else can. We just saw a couple black people last year get canceled. Kyrie Irving got canceled for simply liking an actual post. Now, say what you want to about Kanye West and his remarks. Kyrie Irving he lost millions of dollars in endorsements for simply liking a post. And people say, well, the post he liked was anti-Semitic or whatever. This stuff right here that this dude's talking about, you done use God, you done use the Bible, whether you believe in the Bible, whether you're Christian, you're Jewish, whether you're atheist or whatever, you're taking what's supposed to be a sacred text and you just totally took it and lied and turned it around and spent it to sit up here and basically saying that, hey, all is all. Everything is okay. This is what this dude actually said here. this is what. Let me just read this last part. Let's read this part right real quick for those that came in. And he's talking about Jewish tradition offers a way. He's talking about Passover. He says Jewish tradition offers a way to do so. Every spring, Jews celebrate Passover, the holiday that commemorates the Jewish people's liberation from slavery in Egypt. Passover emphasizes not vengeance or retribution. Let's put that up in there too, because we don't want to get these niggas upset. But important teachings, gratitude to God for freeing the Jews and for the blessings of freedom, together with a divinely inspired injunction never to treat others as the Jews were treated. In our commemoration, we also remember the death and the destruction of the Egyptians, and not as an act of triumph, but rather out of compassion for the suffering of our fellow human beings. This tradition is a template, basically saying, yeah, y'all go ahead and take this same thing. This tradition is a template for addressing the consequences of slavery in America. The best and most equitable reparations lie not in cash payments, no, but in remembering and teaching the lessons of slavery. Oh, yeah, what lessons need to be taught of slavery? Of its terrible consequences and of the suffering of those who endured it. Such an approach is fundamentally just, constructive, and unlimited by time. Now, this joker said a hell of a lot right there. This joker said a hell of a lot, and he said it in a nice little tone right here. And like I say, let's not sit up here and talk about all how a certain group is discriminated. And this joker just set up here with the most amount of BS that you could actually put up in there. But he worded it nicely. He put it up nicely. So Sippy, and like I said, we got some of our people up in here too as well, man. DJ, you still up in the space too? Because I want to get you I want to get your opinion on this as well too, man. I know I saw Ray up in here, but Ray might have checked out for a second. Ray probably come back later on, but see, we got a bunch of people up in here, and I definitely want to get some opinions on this right here, man. I definitely want to hear what people got to say about this. Go ahead, Sippy, you got it.
I mean, this gentleman is saying what the Passover. See, that's how you can tell what the fakes are. I mean, I'll concentrate on us here in America. We are fasted every week, and we celebrate our Passover because it was about vengeance. It was about retribution. It was about, I don't want to use the word our power, but I say our Father coming in and exacting vengeance. So, what this gentleman is writing in there is, it's almost, heretical. I mean, I don't want to use that word against anyone, even against those, because it's a powerful word. But, he's a heretic. I mean, because when you repeated it and I got a chance to process it, I'm like, what the heck is this dude talking about? And then he's saying, let's say he thinks he is of that stock. He's not, but let's say he thinks he is of that stock. Just the fact that he said, oh, it's not about cash payments. He just went against the Most High in the entire book of Leviticus, which covers the Levitical slave laws from front to back. So now he's putting on boxing gloves and thinking he can step into a square circle with the Most High and tell the Most High what he didn't say. So like I say, these people, the more they open their mouths, the more they push a key and push enter, or they, put something on print, the more they expose themselves. And I love it, me personally. Like I say, I just sit back, act like I'm interested, and let them go ahead and bury their own selves with their BS.
And simply the part that I find really fascinating is that how he highlighted certain things. He said that the Passover was not about vengeance or retribution. Excuse me. I mean, I'm not the most biblical person, religious person in the world, but correct me if I'm wrong. But didn't God send the angel of death in Egypt to kick ass?
In the Passover,
yeah,
the angel of death to kill the firstborn, and that includes their animals. So if you had a dog or a calf or a sheep, and they had a firstborn, they got their work too. So he's like, you already know the business, Newstoter. Those people, like I say, fake as a Monopoly $3 bill.
Because I'm gonna be honest, man. He's about. I mean, that's my thought. The angel of death came there. He kicked major ass. And this dude is sitting up here talking. It's not about vengeance or retribution, but it kind of was. I mean, that's what it took to actually freedom, if you want to be honest. But he's making sure that hey, You Negroes over here, don't you think like that? He says a gratitude to God. He wants to make sure that just be happy for freedom. And he mentions being free and freedom a couple times. And he says a gratitude to God for freeing the Jews and for the blessings of freedom. Yeah, everybody enjoys freedom and everything else as well, too, man. But you're sitting up here, you're saying that no cash, nothing like that. And he made sure that he put the best, most equitable reparations lie not in cash payments, but in remembering and teaching the lessons of slavery.
Is this the same remembrance that DeSantis is trying to, whitewash over? And I'm not getting those liberals' asses off the hook either, because they're trying to call it a great forced migration, or first they're trying to call it a migration, a voluntary migration for a better life. You're going to leave the richest continent on the face of the earth to come over here for a better life. I'm like, are you serious? With these two-legged dogs coming over here, bringing their diseases, and when they're going to Africa, bringing diseases over there, tsetse flies and malaria, which malaria translates from Spanish to bad air. So they went over there with their lung diseases, breathing whatever it is into the atmosphere, and those Hamitic and Armenic people were, Shemitic people were breathing that stuff into them and getting sick off of their illnesses, So, like I say, they can quit with the gaslighting, and they can quit trying to gas us up. We're not that generation of our parents, and we're not, the 80s and 90s Negroes that were so docile and willing to please massa. The awakening is in full effect, and they just got to deal with it.
Here's a classic example of why I never, when people start trying to when you're talking about white supremacy and people start trying to break it down into certain ethnic groups and religion and all this other stuff, I'm like, no, it's all the same. It's you can break it down. You can talk about what this group of whites did. It's white supremacy. It's all the same. If you start playing this game of religion and ethnicity and all, you're missing the whole point right here. First off, the actual people that's putting them up, all of these people don't practice the same religion here. The Wall Street Journal and everybody else that's backing him, all of these people are not the same, are not within the same denomination and religious groups and everything else. Yet they have one common denominator in common, and that's anti-blackness. They to the core. They absolutely detest black people. And like I said, this dude made sure, he took an old trick that they was doing for hundreds of years to justify slavery over here and talk about you're cursed and this and that, and you're from a land full of heathens and you're heathen and you're better off as this and that and all. They've taken this kind of stuff out of the Bible, put it in their own words, twisted it, and resold it to people and tell you like this is how it's supposed to be. Nothing what this man says is evident in the actual Bible. This man takes the Bible and he just goes ahead and he does what he wants to do because he's part of a group of people that see something that's a potential threat coming down the way, and he doesn't like it.
Well, Newstoter, let me ask you this, because if you read the Mormon Bible actually does say that dark skin was given on as a curse and whatnot, but for one, they can't make up their minds. The Mormons, they're dyslexic and schizophrenic. First, they say it's because somebody looked up on Noah's nakedness, which is a complete fallacy. And then they say it started from the Great War in heaven, where the angels that were too scared to fight were turned dark-skinned and kicked out of heaven. But tell me this, if dark skin is such a curse, you don't even need to revert to the Bible for this. Who can stand outside for 12 hours in the hottest sun and then go back in, may have a headache and may be a little bit darker? Who can walk through all kinds of vegetation to include poison ivy, poison oak, hogweed, any of this other stuff, and come back, relatively unscathed? Who can jump in any body of water and come out of it and not have to worry about a flesh-eating bacteria, a virus, ripping them apart? Who has the best hair? Who now, on the other side of that, who's the one who has $1 billion to $1 trillion industry annually of tanning and hair chemicals to thicken their hair and everything, and then all of this other stuff? I could go even deeper with the whole sex organ stuff and booty stuff going on, that they're trying to look like the cursed and ugly and undesirable people. Like I say, you just let these people run their mouths. They'll stick their own selves in the behind. They'll fall in their own shithole.
Every year, like my girl Doris saying over there on YouTube. Shout out to you, Doris, and YouTube. She said every year these people get a check. I mean, every year billions of dollars the United States takes, and they go ahead and they give Israel billions of dollars and give them military aid and everything else as well too. And nobody is sitting up here complaining, trying to stop that. But for the simple fact that hey, something that and this man, his people may not even been in this country at the time when all this stuff was going on, but he's sitting up here and he's protesting it. And like I said, he has some major people backing him that's allowing this. First, the Wall Street Journal lets him coming in and write this. Also, he's working closely with the United States Holocaust Memorial Council. They're allowing him to say that. You couldn't say anything about them like that and not be canceled, but they're allowing him to come in here and say this about black people. For the simple fact, he's basically saying to be happy, be happy that you're just free. Be happy you're not a slave. That was the whole moral of what I read. That's everything that I understood. Be happy that you're not a slave. Don't worry about getting anything in return. Your freedom is enough. Your freedom is your reward. That's what he's basically saying. The fact that you're free, that's your reward because you can still be a slave. That's what he's really telling everybody. So for us to just sit here and just listen to this crap, and like I say, you can't cancel. It'd be interesting. It'd be nice to see black people actually take a stand on this and actually go ahead and try to get this dude here canceled for what he's saying. But the country is so anti, a certain group of people is so anti anything that's black that's going to help black people in the country. You can't cancel them for this right here. You're gonna see thousands more pieces like that. We see them every day, anyways. You even see black people, Larry Elder, them. And we had a space on Larry Elder yesterday. Larry Elder, Candace Owens. It's a whole bunch of them that come out. Black people, blackface, come out and say stuff that's similar to this. Now they don't always use religion like he did, so give him credit for that. He went ahead and he made sure he tied the good book into it. But there's so many of these other black faces that use these white talking points, and that's all he did was use white talking points. So that's when people come up in spaces sometimes and they start trying to tell me, "Oh, it's them. Oh no, you got the wrong. It's not nobody. It's the whole damn thing. It's not just a certain group of people, and that's what black people need to go ahead and stop getting off of that. Yeah, the hats they playing a part in it as well too, but they're just a small part of it. I don't care what anybody say. You can't be that little of a group and control everything. You got to have major backing, okay? And they got major backing. They got the financial system backing them. They got the media backing them. They got the political system backing them. All of these people with this anti-black view, all of them are backing these people saying this kind of stuff as well too. So this is just a tip of the iceberg. As this stuff starts to gain more and more momentum, expect more and more of this to come out. So people don't get disheartened when you see this, because more of it's coming. They're gonna start pulling out the big guns, and it's not going to stop anytime soon. You see now, you see the way that history's trying to be erased, and people trying to any little thing that they think they can with black people. You see in Mississippi, in predominantly black cities, they're trying to go ahead and segregate that. They're trying to go ahead and get complete control of the law and switch everything around. In Florida, they're doing a bunch of gerrymandering, black voting districts, anything that they can to go ahead and try to silence black people and put them in a place where they feel like they're going to be completely powerless. That's what they're trying to do. So black majority states not lying when he says the creating a majority black state is something that's important, something that within the next 10 years or so, something that really, as a people, we really need to happen. We need to have a black majority state somewhere in the United States of America within the next 10 years or so. I'm hoping that something like that can pop off. Nightfall said this on YouTube. He said he can STFU and get the out of here. This article talks about how Germany is paying $1.4 billion to Holocaust survivors next year. Yeah. It's like, yeah, your community could get reparations. Your community could get money. They could get paid. But God forbid anybody else gets paid. When somebody else gets paid, then there's an issue with that. Especially when that somebody else happens to have black skin. Like, I mean, go ahead, bro.
Let me interject this, and I'll let you continue. Israel is getting $19 million a day from the United States. So put that in your pipe and smoke on that. Those people are hypocritical.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money a day. They probably get more than that too. When you factor in the middle, when you factor in the actual military spending that the U.S. does, because the U.S. got them over there, and they want to make sure that they're well equipped to handle themselves over there in the Middle East as well too. So when you factor in the actual cash that they send in their hands and the actual military, the actual weapons and stuff they're being supplied with too, it's more than that. When you factor it all up, because they're gonna make sure nobody's gonna go over there and jack up Israel. How many times in our lifetime have you seen countries just go over there and just take it to Israel? Just really take it to Israel.
Not in my
lifetime. And if they start taking to Israel, guess who's gonna be going over there to help Israel out as well too? They're gonna send weapons, cash, and they're gonna send troops as well too. If you go over there and you start taking it to Israel. So this is crazy. I see we got I see we got Rob up in the house. We got a speaker up in here. Rob, I see you came up here to speak. You want to go ahead and speak? You want to say something?
Yeah, a couple of things. I've seen people countries try to go to Israel in my lifetime twice, and Israel fought back twice. But that's neither here nor there. Now, I agree. Israel is getting a lot of, I'm not saying cash, because somebody said we're getting $19 million a day. They're getting weapons. And so basically they're getting American weapons. So it's like basically a credit card to buy American weapons. It's the same thing that we're doing with Ukraine, that we're giving them weapons. So it's the military-industrial complex that enjoys the profits from the American government that gives them this credit card to buy weapons, like a store credit card. You can go to whichever military company in the United States and buy Iron Shields and whatever, F-16s and whatever, but it's not like it's a cash payment. So the people who are really profiting are Americans. I'm not saying Americans, but it's the military-industrial complex that does profit from this. And to me, that's kind of like a hustle, So, and that's where I do have an issue, but it is what it is. That's the corruption of the way the government works. If you want to speak about it in context.
And I agree with you, Rob, on the fact that they're getting they're getting and I made sure I put weapons into it as well too. But you don't think they're getting any actual cold hard cash as well too?
Years ago, probably, yeah. But in the last, since I think Bush, it's basically just like I call it the store credit card. You know what I'm saying? You have a Macy's card, you can only use it at Macy's, and they're giving them whatever X amount of $1 billion a year to spend on American military weapons, which is, and they never have to pay it back. That's the thing. So it is cash money, but it's basically that the United States is using that money that they're supposedly giving to Israel to pay the military-industrial complex for that credit card bill. That's what it is.
All right. I believe they're getting the weapons, but I believe because Israel their economy, I know they always had a pretty decent economy as well too. So they're doing something because Israel, it's not like they're floating with all kind of resources over there either.
Yeah, but Israel's economy is one of the leaders in tech. So like all the major tech companies are over there. All the pharmaceutical companies have businesses there. There's like a lot of innovative things that they've grown their economy immensely over the last 20 years.
With the help from the U.S.
No, it's definitely with the help. I mean, if you talk about it, Microsoft, Intel, those are all American companies that actually moved there, and done their help for the U.S.
All right, appreciate that. Scipio, I'm gonna get to you, but let me get the Black Majority State. He hasn't had a chance to speak. Black, how you doing tonight?
Hello, Newstoter. TJ, everybody in the space. I'm good, just traveling, working as usual. I did put down in your chat, it's like 6 Bible verses that mention preparation. To go along with the title up there. But I wanted to address the whole hustle that any foreign nation, getting a credit card for weapons from the United States of America. What it does is it frees up their economy to purchase whatever it is they choose. So if you have this line of credit that is specifically for weapons from the U.S., then your economy and your budget is an offsetting.
Hey, you breaking up, Black. We can't hear you. Can you hear me? Can you hear me, Black? Can you hear me? Let me see if we can get him to Yeah, I was gonna say because we couldn't hear anything after you say freeing up the money. I couldn't hear you say I couldn't hear anything else after that.
Oh, okay, yeah. So in other words, if you have but
you breaking up again, Black. You may have to come down and then come back up. See if we can get you to drop down for a second and come back up because you started breaking up again. Let me see if we can get Black to come right back up real quick because I wanted to hear what he was saying because he sounded like he was about to drop something right there. So let's see if we can get Black to come right back up if he can. I know he was having some issues. He's driving too, so he probably just got to a location, and you know how it is with the Wi-Fi and everything else as he's driving. So
He is correct though what he said.
yeah, definitely. I couldn't make out exactly all because I know he was getting ready to go into it, and that's when he started breaking up.
To put it in context to us, I think from what I get, so basically, let's say you work for a living, and if the American government covers your rent, and so that's what you don't have to pay anymore. But before they were paying your rent, you were struggling to eat. But now that you don't have to pay a $2,000 rent bill, now you got $2,000 to spend on food, and that's what that's to me. That's what I think he was saying, that free credit card gives the Israel economy an opportunity to use their own resources elsewhere.
Okay, he was given a 100 sign, so I guess he must concur with that. Black, when you get a chance, so come back up here if you want to speak again. I know you're working, so you kind of hit an area, but if you get a chance, come back up here definitely. Scipio, go ahead and unmute your mic.
Okay, I'm going to give a soft and respectful rebuttal to Rob's statement. Sir, the United States is giving Israel $19 million in cash a day. I mean, as far as the open credit system, that went in effect in 1948 when they said they can have all of the military aid they want. The floodgates open for that. So that was already in effect back then. That's before most of us in this room were even born. So, and as far as military equipment, did you know that about 61% or close to 65% of their military equipment don't even come from the United States anymore? They've been dealing with Germany and Russia over the past 30 years as far as getting their military equipment because Russia and Germany has superior military equipment than the United States. The only proven piece of military equipment the United States has, sir, is the missile defense system, the Patriot, that is 100% so far, or it's dropped a few points. But no, sir. Israel is getting $19 million cold hard cash a day from the United States. I mean, that was what you said was debunked because in 2002, Bush did try to offset some of the money that was being sent to them, by offering other resources, technology. Israel already has corners the market on technology and other items. Israel said that send us the money and we can decide what we want to, what we want to get, how we want to utilize the money, whether it's getting military equipment, technology, minerals, textiles, or whatever. So yes, their main, main benefactors from the United States for money, sir. Face it, it's money. I mean, America's not supplying Israel and Ukraine both, especially now for the past year and a half, with a heavy output of military weapons. So let's go ahead and just keep it real, keep it in context, and let's just be honest with each other, sir. Respectfully, thank you.
Respectfully, if you go to Israel, look at what aircraft the military flies. They're all F-16s. Where do F-16s come from? Not Germany, not the Soviet Union. Look at the Iron Dome, Iron Shield. That also, So I get what you're saying, but I disagree. And respectfully, we can disagree. But because I actually followed it when President Obama did it, and then Trump did the 10-year deal, which was pretty much exactly what President Obama did, and that's why I looked into it. If it was cash or if it was, and that's when I realized that it's not money, because I always thought it was money, and that's when I looked into it and I saw that it was basically to support the military-industrial complex. And
yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I'm going to believe them. I'm not going to believe you. I mean, and when I say you believe them, because that's the thing that we as black people, and I'm not going to make any assumptions as to what you are. It's really irrelevant right now. But we as black people have a bad tendency to believe something other than the source. I believe what they are over there saying. I believe what Poland is saying, because that's part of the Jewish community, the Jewish bloc, Semitic line. I believe what Israel's saying. These guys, I believe what Hungary is saying, or Austria, one of those two. They're the ones that are thanking America for the money that they're sending them every day. They're not saying anything about a line of credit or a blank credit or unlimited credit card. They're for hardcore cash they're sending them. And as far as to mock America for making those fake Jewish Holocaust survival videos or commercials, getting more money, grifting more money out of the United States. So, like I say, these are hardcore facts that are coming from them. Now, you can, color it as propaganda, COINTELPRO from their side or whatever, but I'm going by what they say, not by what anyone over here, including myself, another Israelite brother, yourself, Newstoter, anyone, I believe them. And once you start believing them, then everything will become much more clearer, sir.
Let me ask you a question real quick, Rob. Just based off of the title, because I don't think you were in the room when I was reading the actual article, but you had a gentleman from the Pro Bono General Counsel to the United States Holocaust Memorial Council. He argued that based off of biblical scriptures that slaves actually should not receive reparations, and he was saying that basically black people if it was, everything is fair and this and that or whatever, you talk about the lessons of slavery and just based off of the people in the Passover and stuff like that, there were no reparations, basically what he's trying to say and stuff like that. How do you feel about the topic of reparations? And in particular, how do you feel about the Bible actually talking about reparations as well too? Do you think black people are entitled to reparations in this country? Do you think that, based off of biblical scriptures that people that were slaves, that are they entitled to reparations? I just want to kind of get your opinion on that, because that's pretty much what I know we kind of went off into the actual Israel and stuff. We started talking about them because we talked about, well, hey, Israel is getting a bunch of money from the U.S. as well too, so they kind of get reparations all the time. And a lot of Jewish people for the Holocaust, Germany's paying them reparations, but this gentleman, he had such an issue with it when it came to black people. So I just want to kind of get your opinion on that.
First of all, I'm going to say this. People justify the Bible, use the Bible to their advantage, no matter what. People have justified slavery because of what they read in the Bible. So to me, anybody who mentions the Bible just, for their own convenience is wrong. So I can actually, if you give me a second, let me scroll down and go on my thing on the Bible. Let's talk about reparations from where Passover started. So in the book of Exodus, The Lord said to Moses, I will bring one more plague. After that, he will let you go from here. And when he does, he will drive you out completely. Tell the people, men and women alike, to ask their neighbor for articles of silver and gold. So pretty much the Lord said to Moses, those Israelite slaves to borrow, and he will loosen the hearts of the slave owners to give them silver and gold, so when they get free because of the last plague that will kill every firstborn, that they will able to leave with all types of valuables. So to me, don't say that nobody, in every aspect of what was done wrong, reparations words, even in the Bible, because the Israelites left with silver and gold. The Jews that suffered in the Holocaust, getting a check. Japanese people that were put in internment and whatever camps, whatever they were called here during World War II, received a check. Everybody got a check except American slaves.
Thank you, Rob. I appreciate that. And I can't say that you're lying. They're definitely Native Americans to this day, and I know sometimes people like to use the actual they like to use, well, this was so long ago, this and that or whatever. But you had broken promises and treaties from over 100 and some odd years ago, 120, 30 years ago, and Native Americans, are getting actual tangible things from these actual broken policies and treaties and stuff that the United States never honored. So, they definitely, you're definitely getting it. It just, like you say, when it comes to black people, it seems to be an issue with the reparations and stuff. And I know we're still kind of in the beginning stages of this, even though reparations talk has been around for over a century, but you're really, really starting to get the actual energy and the push for it more so now. But in terms of Robin, and I know you're a white gentleman, what's the actual temperature with a lot of white Americans in this country when you start? Because I know you have to hear the actual reparation talk because it's gaining steam, it's gaining momentum. But what's the actual, just in your opinion, what's the actual temperature of most white folks that you know when it comes to the actual reparation talk?
White people are definitely not in favor in general. I'm just going to say that, because everybody's worried. That's what it comes down to. It's scared. It's the scare tactics are pushed in, and there's no, people don't know what, is it a check? Is it a benefit?
Are they scared that black people are going to overtake them?
Pretty much. That's what I think. I personally think that's what it is. I mean, to me personally, it doesn't affect my life. I'm retired, so I wish everybody here to be a billionaire. God bless you. It's not going to affect my life anymore. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it's just a weird. And there's also a hustle. I want to explain this too. So California had whatever they call it, one of these studies. That's what it is. It's a study, and they got a group of people. And it's basically the governor of California got 4 of his buddies to do a study on reparations. But to me, that was a scam too, because he basically, they did the study and they were getting paid by the California government, and they did absolutely nothing. So that's another thing you got to be careful for, And then it comes down, and I also think there's like a lot of division with this reparation, even in the black community. There's FBA, there's I forgot the other abbreviation, and people are saying a lot of things. So, one thing I will say for Jews, as much as they don't get along, but when it comes to them, when you pick on one, they all unite, even though some of them hate each other. I know Jews that hate Israel, and I know Jews that love Israel. But one thing is, if it comes down to one thing, it's just a united front. And I think as a united front, more will be accomplished. That's what I really have no tangible answer, but that's the one thing I can think of. And it's just my humble opinion.
Okay. Appreciate your opinion. Before I kick it to you, Scipio, let me go ahead and tell everybody up in the Jumbotron. We have the YouTube channel up in the Jumbotron on the far left-hand side. Make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, definitely go to subscribe while the space is going on. We also have the Cash App available, $Newstoter, $Newstoter. Newstoter is the largest Black-owned, Black American news curation platform today in America. Once again, $Newstoter, Newstoter. For those that do not have Cash App, we have the Venmo and PayPal up in the Jumbotron. For those that's on YouTube, the Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, that's all up in the description as well too. Scipio, go ahead and unmute your mic. And anybody else that wants to speak as well too, I see no taxations up in here.
If I could say one thing real quick before he goes,
Go
I
ahead.
appreciate you giving me the opportunity to talk. I know it's not my conversation, and I thank you for that. And I appreciate everybody for allowing me to just give my take. Thank you.
No problem. No problem.
Okay, that's cool. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Newstoter.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead, Scipio. You got it.
Now, I'm going to give a rebuttal to what Rob just said, and I'm going to insulate my response to him because I believe he is coming in earnest and he really wants to learn. So I'm going to educate him. But I'm going to do, because some of the stuff he's saying is really toxic and he's spitting venom from his mouth. So I don't like that. So first thing first, let's go and get this whole FBA, other abbreviation things cleared. We identify as FBA or Black Americans or American freedmen, and that's our own social identification. We're not relying on anyone's fiat classification of us. We're able to classify ourselves. And as far as the other abbreviation you're talking about, that ADOS, that's something else. That's an organization. That's them. We have no ties or connection to that. So whenever you hear FBA, it just kind of conflate that in your mind anyway, sir, with African American. We're not calling ourselves African American because that is putting us in the space of immigrants. And even though 98% of the people in this country are immigrants, we are not immigrants. We were chattels, the ones of us who came over here. And then the ones that were already here that got enslaved, they're indigenous. So there are two sets of people, both melanated, both black, that are not immigrants. So as long as we can kind of put that in its proper perspective, we can work from there. So yeah, just whenever you come into our spaces, FBA is not a group, not an organization, not a cult, not a set. We are an ethnicity. And just like white people, you're white. Some of y'all might call yourselves Anglo. Some of you may call yourselves Anglo-Saxon. Some of you may call yourself, Caucasian. I mean, you're still the same white, right? So we're FBA. Just because some of us classify ourselves as freedmen or, Black Americans, it's still FBA at the end of the day. We're the survivors of those who walked off the American, hellish plantations. So as long as that is understood and that's kind of applied to your, the forefront of your mental whenever you come in our spaces, we're cool on that. But another thing, I have to bring it out, you never gave a clear answer as to whether or not, we deserve reparations. And I think Newstoter gave you a point-blank question.
I said 100%. I said everybody got it except black people. So why shouldn't you get it? And thank you for educating me, because I really didn't know, that FBA is basically an ethnicity. Because I know of ADOS and I knew all that, and that's where, from listening and reading and so on and so forth, there seemed to be a divide. So I didn't know that. So I appreciate you educating me. But I actually did say everybody in the world that suffered some kind of suffering got reparations except black people. I did say that.
Oh, no, I understand. And that part I did hear. But see, the thing is, whenever you say everybody around the world, and now that's too much intersectionalism, because then that gives, those who are against our reparations, that gives them an inroad to say, See what he said? He's for reparations, but everybody suffered. Everybody. So now, even though everybody,
but he did mention the Japanese Americans that was in the camps over here as well too. So I get what you're saying, but he did mention the Japanese Americans getting it over here. So just to put that there, I did hear him say that.
See, I didn't hear that. My mic must have been acting funny. I must have been caught up in the matrix. So if you did say that, sir, I mean, kudos to you for that, because it's just too hard for us whenever someone kind of says everybody. And I understand where you're coming from, especially with Newstoter kind of putting that extra handle on it about the internments with the Japanese. But our thing is really we're just trying to keep it focused on FBA, on us, because everybody else is already kind of getting theirs. And I see what you're saying, but just so these gainsayers don't have an inroad to say, see, look at everybody has suffered, and they begin to get benefits and stack the deck against us, and they continue to chip away at us. I mean, constantly, like they have been since the 1960s with the black immigrants coming over here. So that's all I'm saying is just kind of use tunnel vision and kind of keep it focused on FBA.
All righty, thank you, Scipio. DJ, you up in the space? I know you've been.
I landed. Sorry.
Okay, you had went quiet, so I thought you were done. DJ, you up in the space? I don't know where DJ at. I see we got us another troll over here on Twitter. I just threw one up. I mean, YouTube. I see we just threw one out. So, Ghost of S Bone. I don't know. You came up in a black YouTube channel and you starting to cry about it. So if anybody's crying, it's you crying. So keep it up, and I'll throw your ass up out of here as well too. So if you don't like it, you can get on at the actual at the chat. Nobody told you to come over here. So if you don't like what you're hearing, go elsewhere and troll. JG, I see you came up here. Did you want to say something, JG?
Hey, bro, I'm here. I'm just in the background working, man.
Yeah, I didn't know you got, because I say something, but I didn't hear you for a minute. JG, you want to speak?
I appreciate the space, man. Yeah, I'm not up to speed with what the Wall Street Journal had to say, so I was hoping to have a little bit more context before I entered my position. But for those of you that do know me, I mean, as brother just spoke, I do.
Hey, check the jumbotron on the top right hand side, JG. The jumbotron on the top right hand side. Read the Wall Street Journal op-ed coming from straight from Newstoter.com. So go ahead, take 60 seconds, do that, come back and speak.
Yeah, it's a pretty it's pretty straightforward to the point. Basically, you had this op-ed with Wall Street Journal. You had this gentleman that works with the Holocaust Council, and he pretty much tried to use biblical scriptures to go ahead and pretty much say that black people just based off of slavery shouldn't get reparations. That was his entire point. He tried to tie it into the Bible and the Passover, which made absolutely no sense. But he really was just trying to kick it out of that. I mean, he was just trying to go ahead and get rid of that whole talking point of black people getting reparations, because he wanted to go ahead and say, well, in the Bible, the Passover, which made absolutely no sense. So, but it is what it is. But yeah, whenever you want to speak, that's more than fine. I see we have a couple other people up in here as well too. So, DJ, I didn't get a chance to hear you tonight so far.
No, all good. I'm just listening to everybody else speak on the subject for the most part. But what's good, everybody? Shout out to the room and everything. And I'm just, like I said, listening to y'all, man. So, again, Wall Street Journal, New York Post, you know what I mean? Newsweek also put out an article. Each descendant is worth $151 million. These people just writing articles on us because they ain't got nothing else to talk about. Their life is boring. We make everything happen. We create all the content, all the dope shit, all the dope raps, the dances, and we make everything happen. So all the news media ever do is really just talk about us 24/7. So it's like, just another article. You know what I mean? Just keep on doing what we're doing. Reparations are bust. Shout out to No Taxation. You already know. Reparation2023.com. Y'all heard me say that in the shit in the end, right? Oh, we gonna tax. Let's go ahead. Go on, sister. Say it one more time. Reparation2023.com. God damn it. And that's really all it is to it. You know what I'm saying? We ain't got to worry about doing anything other than what we've been doing. The same shit. You know what I'm saying? And these people gonna be mad. And it's Black Business Month too, so support Newstoter. There you go.
Hey, Newstoter, I was going to ask you, brother, if you can, just so we're not an echo chamber, can you bring up those opposed to it, and we can speak on it? I mean, it's up to y'all.
I mean, anybody that if they want to come up and speak, I don't know. Pretty much everybody we see up in the space, they pretty much, they for it. I think we had the one dude, Tame Dog, that went over there to he went over to YouTube and he started trolling over there, and so I had to go ahead and kick him up out of there. But anybody up in the space, you can come up and if you disagree with it, you can respectfully come up here and disagree. I mean, I'm not gonna kick you out now. If you sitting over here trolling and you name calling and stuff like that, then yeah, we may have an issue there. I may have to go ahead and give you the boot. But we had a couple people that was trolling over there in the YouTube chat that want to come over here and talk stupid, so we go ahead and just kick them out. But if anybody in the space, you say, hey, I'm against reparations or whatever, feel free to go ahead and definitely because I definitely keep the mic open. Anybody is up in the space, I keep the mic open. Anybody wants to speak, they can come up here and speak. But you're going to pretty much find that the vast majority of people up in the space, they're definitely going to be pro reparations up in here. But if there's anybody that wants to, and then a lot of people, they like to troll. They like to troll in the comments. They don't want to, they control in the comments, but then they don't want to come up on the actual mic and actually speak. So that's another thing. People like to troll in the comments and say this and say that. But when you're like, hey, come on up here and get the microphone, and oh, well, no, I don't want to get the microphone and this and that or whatever. If they do get the microphone, they want to be as ignorant as possible so they can go ahead and get kicked out of the room. So, whether people agree with Rob or not, Rob comes up in here and he speaks, and he's welcome to his opinion, and whether you agree with him or you disagree with him, that's fine or whatever, but he's respectful. But if you come and you come in a different way, then you're gonna get the boot. So but yeah, if anybody wants to speak, man, by all means, definitely go ahead and come on up here and speak. That's how I try to get people. Certain spaces, our people will talk on. Certain spaces, they're pretty quiet or whatever. So this space here, I know you've been doing a lot of talking. I've been talking. Rob's done some talking, and we had Stephanie. She was up here earlier, and Black was up here, but he's working, and he hit a spot, an area, whatever, where he kind of lost reception. But I got No Taxation original coming up here, so let me hear what they got to say. And like DJ said, it is Black Business Month, so support Newstoter, Cash App, $ Newstoter, $ Newstoter. The Venmo and the PayPal is up in the jumbotron as well too. No Taxation, how you doing?
I'm so tired today. You have no idea. It was our first full weekend back from camp, and all week we were playing catch up, business-wise. This business consulting firm, and so, we got to hustle, right? But anyway, hello to you and everybody in the room. I hope you are doing well. And you don't mean to tell me, News and DJ, that y'all got a white man in here and he done said his whole name, and he's not trying to sneak in, and he's being a part of the conversation. Well, lo and behold, what is today? So I just want to put that out there. I was over at the Lisa space. She's talking about immigration and reparations, and there were many white people over there, along with Black folks and others. And there was no white person in the room that disagreed with Black Americans having reparations. So, Rob, sound like you in my age group. And the only thing I can say to you, Rob, is you're going to have to tell your people they got to get on board, because it's coming, whether they want it to or not. And tell them to thank us later, because when Black folks get lifted up in this country, everybody in the country gets lifted up.
Amen.
Okay? So just say that. And of course, it's a Black Republican, and there were white Republicans in there. I did not hear from a white Democrat, and I don't know if there were any in the room because the whites that did speak in her space stated that they were Republicans. So there you go. The other thing is that I think it's about 33.5% of white people now are on board with reparations for us. I think they understand it a little more clearly now. Uh, of course, there will always be the haters, but we've had haters since the beginning of time, so we're not going to worry about that. But yeah, it's good to see these two conversations going. I don't know. I briefly read the article, and it don't really matter. Opinion piece. People can have their own opinion. This is still America. But here's what I want to say to the black folks in the room: count it all joy, because the more it's discussed, the more they write about it in certain publications like the Washington Post, the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and even Tulsa, Oklahoma's paper, oddly enough. Uh, that makes our conversation even more important for November 2024. So let's for the first time have a fight over our vote, because we are the swing vote in this country. And I'm gonna leave it there.
All right. Thank you. No taxation. Let me go ahead and get to original. Then I got you, JG. Original, how you doing tonight?
Oh, peace, black power, and reparation. And I'm just looking at, I was looking for that article today. I went on the website. I guess maybe I was looking in the wrong area. I didn't see it.
It's up in the jumbotron original on the
Yeah, I just,
far right hand side.
yeah, I just bookmarked it on my Twitter feed. But I was listening to trying to get some context as to what was being said. But see, I'm not surprised that these people of the Jewish belief, and that's what it is, they believe, are saying this. See, back in the '90s, when reparation was beginning to get hot, and this is when I was in California, and someone said something about maybe they would assist us in getting reparations, and they said no, they were not trying to assist black people with getting anything. But see, but they use us like through the NAACP and other so-called black organizations that are not black, because they're not financed by black people. The NAACP is controlled and financed by white people of the Jewish belief. I mean, that's just being real with it, okay? And but yet, when things get hot, they're not looking to do anything where we will benefit. But if you notice, Malcolm X talked about that a lot, you know, and that's one of the reasons why they did not, like him, because he would tell the truth about them. But see, there was I saw a post online maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it was something about stand with America, stand with Israel, and Israel stand with America. And then I commented something about, well, I said, well, hell, both of you are racist as hell when it comes to black folks, so you don't like black folks. But then this one guy tried to say, um, we brought the Ethiopians over here, and I said, no, you can't. I started posting stuff about how badly they treat the Ethiopians and this, that, and whatever. I mean, they had injected some of the Ethiopian women to sterilize them to keep them from reproducing. This is how evil this group of people is. And they sit back and want to act as if they don't do anything to any other group, that people always bother them. And the only reason they get a lot of this sympathy is because of this religious belief. And it's like I had to ask someone one time. I said, look, they claim that they left Kemet and they walked around that this God had. They walked around this desert for like what was it, 40 years. They walked around the desert looking for a home. Now search for how many miles from Cairo, Egypt to Jerusalem or Israel or whatever. It's only about 300 miles. So you're gonna tell me you walked around, you couldn't disperse yourselves and go in different directions. Besides, you're gonna meet within, come back and meet within a month or so. That you walked around in a desert for 40 years. Give me a break. But no, this group of people, they have never been for black people. They've always exploited black people when it came to black people doing anything. Because if you notice, remember I said that what was it? It was yeah, there was a. It's called the anti. It was an anti-slavery report. I have to pull it up to get the exact name of it. Whereby even in that report, they said there was nothing analogous to the slavery that black folks. I mean, there was nothing analogous to them and black folks as far as being enslaved. Yeah, they say all kind of things, but see, when you tell the truth about them, they want to start saying, "Oh, well, you're no." It's like what Kyrie Irving said: "I can't be anti myself." And so I think what has to happen is that more of us, and let them know that you might have control over a lot of these entertainers and other type of people, but you don't have that control over us. We're not buying it, because because I was watching my these now this how sick they can get playing Green Bladder or something like that. He's headed to ADL now, so he was on one of these morning TV shows, and then they paying this. I mean, slavery and paying stuff, whatever. They're talking about it was talking about between blacks and them. Then they said, well, we don't want to talk about who has suffered the most. Excuse and sadly, black people, the show went along with him. Now there is still one about it, but you can't centuries enslaved. What about maybe a 5 to 6 year war that you had some things done to you? It's gonna add up. And see, that's why they don't move. And just like I shared, about several weeks ago, there was a video that came out with Minister Farrakhan. This was done, when they were attacking Kyrie Irving. And Mr. Farrakhan said that they had invited him to a dinner, and they told him about how they could write favorably about him if he were to renounce that book, The Secret Relationship Between Blacks and Jews. And as he told him, he said, look, this information came from your archive, not mine. It came from yours. But see, they don't want the truth to be known about them. So I'm not surprised that they are saying that they're trying to use the Bible and saying that, black people shouldn't, get whatever. I don't know if we want to mention this, but there's several passages in the Bible where it'll say, slaves, obey your master as you would the Lord or your God or whatever, and they're justified where they justify, slavery and said that you should obey your earthly master as you would the Lord. I'm like, really? Because I've even asked some black people that, and when you start citing it to them, even some of them get, they look at you sideways, so this whole thing about, them and what they're supposed to be doing and, that they're these, they go into this, they're these chosen people or whatever. I mean, hey, believe what you want to believe, but all I'm saying is that when you start putting certain questions up to them, yeah, here it is. I'm about the computer now. It's got Ephesians 6, 5-8, Galatians 3, 22-24. And you got First Timothy 6, 1 through 2, and then you got Titus 2, verses 9 through 10, where they're telling the enslaved that, you know, you need to obey your master, and, you know, and do what. And one of them, the way it was reading, I mean, I have to go back and read it again because I just woke up. I got to go back and read it again. But one of them, it sounded the way it read to me. It was like the way it was read. It was like, yeah, obey your master, and some master wanted to rape you. You have to go ahead and go along with that. I mean, this stuff is crazy. And so I'm not. But like I said, I'm not surprised that they are against this, because see, they get mad and don't want to discuss the issue of how they were involved in the slave trade. You know, because that's why they had went out. They went after Dr. Leonard Jeffries back in the 90s, because he's talking about, you know, Aaron Lopez and some others who were involved in the slave trade. You got this one guy, Judah Benjamin, and a number of others. Their book is called
You breaking up, original.
so
You breaking up. Yeah, you breaking up, original. Yeah, you still breaking up. Try to talk again, but you were still breaking up. Yeah, you gonna have to drop down. It keeps.
Okay, let me drop down.
All right, JG, go ahead. Unmute your mic. I'll let original get a chance to come back up. But go ahead, JG.
All right, man, I appreciate it. So I read the article. I don't know how many of you guys. I don't know how many of you guys are all in California. I am, and what I want to say is this: is that, you know, it takes an ignorant person. When I say ignorant, lacking knowledge or information, and there's a whole lot of ignorant people, and there's intentionally ignorant people. Some a lot being white because they don't want to deal with the reality of what a lot of their ancestors did. The reality is this: I preface California because my family was brought here as slaves. Okay, and California was supposed to be a free state. A lot of people don't know that. Brought here as slaves. For those of you that are history buffs, look up Black Friday 1869. That is the biggest scandal in American history under Republican President Ulysses S. Grant. They backed the dollar with gold, drove the price of everything down, and guess where the gold came from? Up in the hills, where all the black miners worked. Now, this was after the Civil War. Reconstruction. So not only do these people come over here as slaves, made white people rich, sent money all over the nation. Those people, including my family, that owned gold mines, couldn't have claim to a gold mine by a made-up law by the Republican president that's against the laws of Congress. So when we talk about reparations for slavery, as that damn article talked about, let's talk about everything after slavery. That's why I talk about California, because California was supposed to be a free state. Yep, we had slaves here. And furthermore, I think if you read the 1,100-page report that the California Task Force put out about reparations, there's no payment for slavery. The payment is for the 400 years after slavery of all the nonsense that continues to happen to those descendants today. And there is a distinct difference between foundational Black Americans and immigrants that come over here. One is we have the trauma. It lives in us. My passion is not, it is what it is. A Nigerian that was never enslaved and whose ancestors never went through what our ancestors went through is not going to have the same passion or understanding. So when we talk about reparations, yeah, the Japanese got it for being put in internment camps, and that was wrong. Look at everything that's happened to Black Americans that built this country. Our ancestors built this country for free. And so when we go from mass incarceration to redlining blatant discrimination, right? And as my sweet sister said before us, when things happen for Black folks, the foundation of Black American folks, everybody else rises. I mean, affirmative action was initially was supposed to be for those descendants. But every other minority, including LGBTQX and whatever else, right? Hispanic, Asian, a person of color. Now, no, I'm not a person of color. I'm a Black American, foundation of Black American. See, that person of color loops everybody in. Well, the reality is those Black folks that were part of the tribes didn't get theirs either because of my mama's side. I got that too, and we got ex-nated, called freedmen, and then left off the rolls, many of us. So this didn't happen to any other race of people on this damn earth. So no, we cannot talk about slavery as a nation, as what happened everywhere else. This is specific to a descendant foundational Black American class. And as California said, if you can trace that person back to the census part of 1900, but this is the education that not only white people need to know, it's the Black people that are Nigerians, the Black people that are against reparations, like Burgess Owens and the other ones. I feel bad that the man, well, he got a last name as a first name, so he's already messed up. But I can't wait to talk to Burgess Owens because he apparently don't know the history. And as one of the task force members said, the Japanese guy, not one person is clean or has clean hands from what was done to Black Americans. That goes from Jewish communities to other African American communities to white Republicans, Black Republicans, Black Democrats, NAACP. Every organization has got a hand in the demise and keeping Black people at the bottom. And we're not having it. And so when these truths are revealed in such a way that you look it up, you look at Black Friday 1869, what can you say to that? We paid down the national debt. That's federal. Yes, every descendant should be paid. Look, and programs should be, we shouldn't have had to pay for our kids to go to college in the first place. They should be reimbursing every Black American that actually had to pay for a child to go to college versus saying, as most, we'll be okay with programs. The hell with a program. I want a program, but I want the cash too, right? So reparations, there's cash included. Programs exactly are included too. And it would be really easy to create legislation and tax codes for the wealthy families and corporations that benefited from slavery. Just they did it during the gold rush. They created tax codes. So create a tax code for J.P. Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, Vanderbilt's, all those big name families that just want to donate millions and trillions to bull crap. Well, once you donate to a repertory fund and you get penalized if you don't. It'd be very simple. But there's so much anti-Black hate from misinformation that we find people that want to write in the Wall Street Journal an op-ed. So I'm glad that it's an op-ed because it's just his damn opinion. And as you know, my elder queen said, the more people that are talking about it, the more people that can come and share factual information in these spaces, the more educated that white people get that are against it or maybe on the fence about it. And then even hopefully some of our Black brothers and sisters that had no clue of the atrocities that occurred, in this United States of America and in places as supposed to be progressive as California, which is really not. So we say fold our chair now, I'm gonna fold my chair. Thank you for the space.
No problem. Thank you, JG. Scipio, I guess I'll let you be the last speaker for the night, and then we'll go ahead and get ready to close it out. If anybody else wants to say something after Scipio, raise your hand. I'll give you 2 minutes to go ahead and say something real quick. Scipio, go ahead and unmute your mic.
And thank you. And thank you again, Newstoter. And JG, I just want to say to you, brother, that there's a lot more history to your state, California, that is really unspoken. California, single-handedly, is probably the richest and most fertile land in all of the United States. So you might want to look into the San Francisco vineyards, that glory out there that was going on around the time of the 1849 gold rush, and even on up until the Black Friday of 1869. Yeah, California owes. But aside from that, all I want to say is that for those who wants to bring the Bible into it, the Bible actually convicts, you know, the slave owners, indicts them and convicts them, and it makes a very, powerful case for our reparations. So for all of those who say that they believe the Bible, they believe in the word of the Lord, or however they want to frame it, well then guess what? You owe, and that should come out of us. Come out of you, for us, for our reparations. And JG, I had to come back to you again, circle back to you, and just kind of give you a little pushback when you said everybody has a role, for our downfall, including other FBA. And since we're on the Bible, that was one of our curses, that those that are delicate amongst you, your brother will have evil in his eye towards you. So that's kind of one of our curses, and that was perpetuated by the dominant society, by splintering us off into regions around the United States, East Coast, West Coast, Gulf Coast, kind of helping perpetuate the gang separation, Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords, Disciples, and especially the biggest one, the elephant in the room amongst us, the gender separation. Men, venomous, misogynistic men, black men, that is, versus the strong, independent black woman who don't need a man. So there's a whole lot to unpack there, but that's for another day. But all in all, I appreciate the chance to speak. I appreciate you, Newstoter, and everybody that came up here to speak. Even if you don't agree with me, you want to bash me, go ahead. I'm in a very good mood tonight, so I'm not spitting darts at anyone. And with that, I say shalom.
All right. Thank you, Scipio. Thank you. Thank you. Glad to hear from you tonight. No taxation. I'm going to give you a couple minutes and then we're going to go ahead and close this thing out for the night. You got it?
Thank you. It's just a couple of three things I want to say. One is that this type of writing and these types of opinions and in these types of papers, media, newspapers, online papers, media giants, is meant to take us off our game. It's meant to sow discourse. It's meant to disrupt the conversation that we always have. DJ says something very, very poignant. We have to keep doing what we're doing. We can't get distracted by what it is they think they can throw at us. And number two, oh, by the way, they trying to throw the Bible. Knowing that black folks are probably the most spiritual, religious, thinking people in this country. So it's not missed on me that that this is how they're coming. That's grasping for straws. That's what we call grasping for straws. So that's the second thing. The third thing I want to say is, and thank you, Newstoter, for letting me say it. And I know DJ has the liquor store. He's going to be on tonight. But if you can go over to Denise's space, P. Denise Long is having a space on immigration. I would advise people to go over there and listen to that conversation. It's an important conversation. It's where we can align forces, see, for policy, because everybody knows that the immigration game that Biden is playing on us is meant to disrupt us, and it's meant to keep us from moving up the ladder, the economic ladder. And so I would hope that everybody would go over there. If you're not going to the liquor store, and everybody should stop by the liquor store now. If you're not going to the liquor store, then please go over there to Peter Long's conversation. It's an important conversation. It's important not just for black folks, but it's important for America. And we are Americans at the end of the day. And thank you, Newstoter.
All right. On that note, guys, we're going to go ahead and we're going to call it a space for the night. We'll be back tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So definitely check those notifications, retweet them out. Appreciate all of the speakers, the co-hosts, and everything tonight. The listeners, guys, thank you. Have a good night, and we'll see you tomorrow night.